Hi, I decided to film myself answering one of your questions um, because I usually put a lot of personal information into my answer when we are in our face-to-face classes, and I wanted to give you all that same energy. So the question is about the world of work during the late 19th century and early 20th century period of industrialization. Um, That question is many Southerners moved from rural areas to cities in the region. Why did low wage workers avoid leaving the South in large numbers during the late 19th century? So my answer is partially based on personal experience with working with my family to figure out, you know, more about our ancestors, what they went through, who they were. So, one, and then it's based in history too. So one, it must have been difficult to raise the money to make such a long move, especially if you were sharecropping or if you were a tenant farmer, and possibly illiterate. You will read, you will see film footage that tells you that landowners during this period were always telling people that they owed money, who were their tenants, who were sharecropping on their land, even if they didn't. Money for seed, money for mules or horses, money for the cabin that they and or their family lived in, money for tools, repairs, to plant and to harvest. So they were always in debt. It was a perpetual cycle of debt. So I can imagine it would have been very difficult to find the funds to move across the country, let's just say. Two, the landowners would often threaten would-be migrants. If I find out you're leaving, I'll kill you or have you killed. You know those boys down the street, the clan down the road, right? Or if you leave, I'll hurt your family. Your whole family's not leaving. Your grandma's not going to leave here. And I'll make sure something, really bad happens to her if you leave. So would-be migrants faced the threat of violence if they left the South in some cases. Three, loved ones might be afraid of the unknown. In the North, maybe they tell you you might meet a violent end. They've heard of people who've gone to the big cities in the North or out West and didn't last very long, succumbed to the vice that they might have encountered in the city or police violence. They may be lonely. If you go there, we don't have any family there. You'll be really lonely and really cold, right? Really cold and lonely if you move away, particularly to the north. And then there are these strong customs that we can tend to have as Southerners. I'm a Southerner, a lifelong Southerner, except for that 1 year when I did study abroad in Kingston, Jamaica. And so I know how it is, right? We have those customs like everybody eats Sunday dinner together, right? And who make sweet potato pie? That sweet potato pie, you have perfected that recipe, and Big Mama, her heart will be broke if you leave and you're not the one to make the sweet potato pies on Sunday. Or, who gonna cut peapod grass, right? Who will cut his grass if or bruh daddy, that's what they called my granddaddy. Who gonna cut bruh daddy grass if you're not here, son? He can't see good, he can't hear good, he lost that arm. So these are what I call customs or traditions or mores that often worked to keep the Southerners in place at the time. So let me see if I can screen share with you and tell you why I say this. Um, This is an 1880 census that I found with my family on it. So they're on lines 23 and 24. Let's see if I can make this bigger for you. So you can see lines 23 and 24. So I'm from the Lyles family on my mother's side. So my mother's mother is a Lyles. But the spelling for my family now has become Lyles, but that's us. The Lyles. So these are my great great grandparents. So Charlie Lyles and Polly Lyles are my great great grandparents. So if you see at the top of the page, I'm going to the bottom, I don't know why. This is in Pine Knot District, Georgia, which is in Chattahoochee County, Georgia, which is not far from Columbus, Georgia. So and there's the year 1880. Amazing. So the period we're studying, and I point this out because I knew from family stories that Polly and Charlie moved from somewhere near Muskogee to Birmingham, Alabama, but now I know it's Pine Knot District. And if you look at their conditions, now we're thinking, why didn't people like this move to the north at this time? Slavery has been over for 15 years. And, you know, why did they just move to another southern city like Birmingham? And Birmingham, we'll look at it and we'll see it has its own, issues, right? Well, they're moving from a very rural area to what then would have been considered the big city, right? But also look at their conditions. So if slavery had been over only 15 years, my great great grandfather was 23, so he was born into slavery probably, and my great great grandmother was 20, so she was also probably born into slavery. And if you go across here, they are farmer, working farm, right? So that I know of, they were not landowners, so quite possibly they were sharecropping. Here, I forgot what this is for. Okay, so they're married at the time. Let me make sure I'm on line 23. And if you look at these rows, they cannot read and they cannot write. So imagine taking a trip, again, far across the country. You cannot read, you cannot write, you're a sharecropper born into slavery. That's a lot. So these are also reasons why ordinary people like my great great grandparents, Charlie Lyles and Polly Lyles, would not have moved from the south to north, but made a big leap by moving from a rural area to a growing city to work in the industry that was developing there in a neighboring state. That's it.